All right, we've got a mission for Cyborg. Yes, I'm just diving straight into Cyborg. It's new and it's hot. And I've got this third-party mission here called the Cult of the Hadron Lamb. This was a successful Kickstarter. It's about 45 pages. There's the cover. Got this cool cybered out lamb here. Looks like a real monstrosity. And here's the back. It's by Christian Eichhorn. And it's pretty cool. It's got some really neat stuff in here that I think you're going to want to implement into your game as well. So I'm going to be spoiling this, so don't watch this video in case you might play it. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So this is available on PDF on ttrpg. I'll have a link in the description, of course. So the Cult of the Hadron Lamb, linear accelerated matter beam is what it means. So we've got our table of contents, and you're going to kind of look around here. Of course, stuff is kind of stripped. I like this. Press start. It's the quest hook. The hack is on page 9, into the sector. There's an NPC encounters. There's the map on page 21. There's a cultist generator, and then there's the different rooms that are in this factory. So this is going to be a type of dungeon crawl a little bit, if you could call it that. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little table of contents. And that's the kind of thing about some of this cyborg stuff is you gotta kind of look around and figure out what's what on the page, since each page is pretty much different. So somewhere it's going to be in the industrial wasteland. The director of the Lamb Project, Dr. Serafima, she has had her brains blown out by a big photon beam. I'm not about to try to say that word. The parts of her brain which tethered her to reality and sanity anyway. Now she's the revered leader of an exponentially growing cult. And daily, dozens of hopeful disciples enter the Lamb to have their craniums fried, hoping to awaken something that elevates them above NPC status. Through the usual back channels, Dr. Davy hired disposable punks, that's you and your characters, to take care of this situation in a violent fashion. Alas, for now, they all died or joined the cult of the Hadron Lamb. And so here we've got kind of like the incoming transmission. Some of the art in this is AI generated, but it looks great. So I've got a job for you, punk, and it says it's 5,000 credits off your debt. And he's going to forward coordinates and the IP of an abandoned factory. It's a secret TG Labs research facility that lies below. And he tells a little bit about what happened. You need to retrieve her brain and get out. I hope I don't need to say it, but I'll make sure. Don't damage the brain. I'll be in contact. Good luck. And so when I first looked at this page, I was like, what the hell is this? Didn't know what it was. And there's not a whole bunch of explanation for it. But then, eureka, it came to me. This is going inside the server, hacking inside this facility. And this is actually, in my opinion, very, very good. It should have been something or something like this, explaining something like this in the actual Cyborg book. Instead of just giving you some apps that turn off some stuff here and there, this is you going into the net as a hacker. You're starting here in the entrance node, and you've got different paths you can take. And you're going to have different checks you're going to need to make, different roles here. The first one's going to be this symbol. You look at this symbol and it's an alarm. And so, of course, it's going to alert the admin if triggered, if you fail that. And it's going to increase the DR of all tests by 1. So I was looking, and when I finally figured it out, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So here you've got to make a choice. You've got to kind of choose where you want to go. You've got another alarm here and here. These are switches. You can decide which way to go. And so if you would like to go here, you can switch over here and you can find science data worth 200 credits. Now, what this does is this allows you to actually go inside a facility, a business, corporation, and get important, information that's stored in there that's going to be financially helpful for you. But of course, it's going to have its different type of safeguards, such as these here, which are neuron traps, which can do damage to you, as you can see here, damage D6. So there's several of these, like several science data is worth 200, or they can be stuff like the map. If you go up here, you can get the map of the place. This is very smart. Secret location of cooling vents to access room 7. So it's a way for your hacker to not just kind of turn the lights off and on, but to actually get money from the place, actually get information. It's be it a little bit dangerous with some of these damage rolls, and kind of push their luck and try to find out what's the information that's in this place. So as you go to access the cores, you're going to get the following benefits. You have to make all these alarm tests, and then there's a bouncer. A bouncer pretty much locks you out of the system, and then there's just a damage, the neuron trap. That's going to be D10, so watch out for that. And then once you make it into the cores, you're going to be able to access the rooms, if they're locked or unlocked, access data to the camera. manipulation of the camera live feed, access to the drones, because there are drones in there, and access to the power plant. You can turn it on and off. This one here, if you try to go get it, it's worth 100, but there's a virus in it. And of course, your players may not know that, so you can draw out how it kind of is going to kind of be for them. And so there is a nemesis type of hacker called Bunny, and they're watching what's going on in the facility. And you may be able to. It says the hacker must test DR14 presence to notice with the virus. Bunny can trace the character's every move and thought. That's if you get the virus. So the Bunny character is kind of watching you and going to kind of interact with you, both on the net and when you're inside the facility. This is very smart. Make these for your missions. Give the hacker something more to do, something that's a little bit dangerous, but then there's a lot of beneficial rewards for that, be it turning off stuff on and off, or getting money, or finding out more information like the map, or whatever the case may be. This is very smart. Okay, so, and then you're going to tell you a little bit about the industry that's around it, like the area, and you're going to have, it says here, turn the page and roll for as many encounters as you find entertaining. You're going to have a D20 NPC encounter list here, and most of these are a bunch of characters that are either religious zealots, they are cybered up corporate type people, hackers, and they have their own reasons for you either trying to join the cult, take down the cult, get information that's inside the facility. They're being maybe attacked by someone that you can show up to and kind of save the day, or do whatever you want to do. So it looks like some of these were actually written by some of the other people, probably, maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe some of the Kickstarter backers were able to create their own characters for this NPC encounter list. But it's very cool. This here, Old Man Zaphead, he's actually looking for a mythic cassette, rumored to be a Dark Gods Cursed mixtape. And there's some information about each one of these you can mess with inside the actual facility. So this is a very cool thing. And obviously, if you're running it multiple times, you can run different people, roll them up or whatever, and it's not going to be exactly the same every time you run it. But they all have their own desires, and you can facilitate those or not. There's a corpse you might find that's been murdered on the street. It may lead to some other kind of side adventures as well. There's a car here that's pretty cool. It appears when people most need it, offering free rides and chilled beverages. It's well spoken and features several different voices. And here we've got the map. So you've got the polymer facility outside, and then you're going to traverse this. You've got room 1, room 2, the altar, the sanctum. You've got the lab, the bio waste, the server, and the power plant. And then there's the vent access here, which you could hack in and find out that that's where that takes you to. So again, very cool. And then here's room 9, the synchrotron is what it's called. Make sure I get that right. And of course, you've got to look around for all this stuff on the sheet, because each one of them on the pages, because each one of them are different. So you've got the factory floor. They're making 10 millimeter pistols in there. First thing you see as you walk in, and then of course, and it gives you the stats for the shoddy pistol, so that's pretty cool. And then you're going to have the security gate. There's some brain bots, and of course, Bunny is watching from the server room and can interact with the characters. You can read up more about her options in room 7. And then you've got the Sec Hub, and of course, you've got Vibe here. Technology, high tech, and basic industrial components, dirty, oily surfaces, the sounds of servo tools, and diagnostic AIs. So I like how each room has that listed. You just got to go and make sure you find everything that's on here. When scum attacks a facility, security drones swarm out of the Sec Hub. And here's 2 different types of them, and they look pretty cool, this pieces of art here. But there's also an empty brain bot. Spinks has the tools and skills to implant brains into the brain bot. After all, he invented the pseudoscience nightmare in the first place. He calls the one functioning brain bot in room 1 his stainless steel son. Then you've got room 3, which is the altar, and this is where Seraphima is. So she's mostly cyborg. She's got a grenade launcher with high explosive grenades, a Hadron blessing, which is going to be in the back. It's the God particle, and pretty much she can read your mind if she makes a certain test. And so, or if you make the test, I should say. So it explains about her, and it says, those who she deemed worthy may receive the Hadron blessing. She guides them towards the Lamb in a holy procession. So you've got a bunch of people trying to enter this place. Now, your players and their characters, they can either try to go in all guns blazing, or they can try to, get their way in as if they weren't going to be new cult members, and then, of course, figure out what they're going to do. Should they start shooting or do whatever? So you can have some bit of espionage here. And then you've got the sanctum, and this is where this lamb is. And it says the sanctum is a solemn place. A cybernetic lamb sits among great gifts, credit sticks, engraved titanium vertebrae, mosaics from the integrated circuits. The lamb doesn't move or make a sound. It only watches the world through 35 millimeter lenses. It actually is the brain of her research facility assistant. Was one of the first to undergo the procedure, a trailblazer to receive the Hadron blessing. So that he's actually in there. And it says here, if you're able to establish contact with him by plugging in a cyberdeck into one of the lamb's ports, he's kind of like, hey, help me, please. Do you know what's going on? I can't move, I can't hear, I can't speak. My name is Giacomo. I'm here. I'm with the TG Labs. The last thing I remember is going to sleep. Now I'm trapped here for days or weeks. I can't tell anymore. So very cool. And you can see a completely different looking page here. This is the laboratory. And with this, you've got Dr. Kashimoto. He's one of the original TG Labs researchers. His only interest is advancing science for science sake. Serafima pretty much lets him do as he desires, and he prepares brains for transplantation and experiments with refuse. When he feels the ionized wind shifting, he'll hash his bets. Dr. Kashimoto offers the characters an upgrade free of charge, but only 3,000 or cheaper, and information if they leave him and run free. So this is a good place to go. You can get a bunch of different type of cyber tech here, camera irises, VC modulator, specialist glands. They can produce like a lube or glue. There's a turbo liver, makes you immune to poison. So if you go in here with some money, this guy's going to be able to hook you up some cool stuff. Speed, make one ranged or one melee attack per turn. So very neat. So do you require sedation? That's going to be 50 credits. So just neat. It's just, I like the way that page looks. And then you've got the BioWay. So whenever someone gets shocked the way that she did, sometimes they either die and their brains are completely pretty much destroyed, or they're put into the BioWay's place. It says, unlucky cultists who receive the Hadron blessing but die in the process are recycled. Their brains end up in the refuse room. Their bodies are broken down and become shoddy 10mm pistols and ammo. So they take out whatever cyber stuff is in them and then make them into weapons. So there's floating brains that they have codes burned into them. And a researcher cult member named Crystal Clear attempts to hack into the archive. She is searching for her brother's brain. Of course, it's going to be the brain of the Giacomo, which is going to be in the lamb, who Crystal is searching for. Unfortunately, his archives is corrupted. And there's some different people here, pretty much former workers of the chemical plant, telling you a little bit more about them that's inside their brain. And I like how they've got like the codes there below. So here is Bunny, the stats for this hacker. She's got a smart gun and she's jacked in. And this is if she's trying to interact with you in certain ways. If she's trying to stop you, she could talk to you through the intercom, either through banter or taunting, should you go in guns blazing. And she'll also sick drones on the characters here with countermeasures such as nerve gas or laser gates or EMPs. So very cool to kind of have this hacker character kind of thwarting the PCs as they're going into the facility. So, and then of course you can obviously encounter her, and she's pretty much like, hey, no hard feelings, right? I'm just doing my shitty job. And she tries to kind of back out of it, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to take care of her. So here's the power plant. I really like the way that this looks. So just these little switches, you can turn off the power to the place. The way it's written out, I mean, it's got a cool look to it. You can release coolant. Releasing the coolant during operation will lead to catastrophic failure and fatal poisoning, or you could do an emergency stop to the whole plant. So that's pretty neat. So you can actually turn off stuff in each room. And then you've got room 9 here, and it says, before operating the lamb, vacate the synchrotron and enter purple alert mode. During charge up, strong EM fields can destroy unprotected tech, remove all devices from operating room, and wear special shielding suits. So you've got here a vibe, a gigantic magnets, cables, glowing surfaces, ultra high tech doomsday device. There's what devices are there: the lamb control console and the plasma turret. So of course, plasma turrets are going to open fire on you once they see your characters. Characters who wish to have their brain fried by the lamb can step into the synchrotron and roll a die. On an odd, you become dead refuse, so your character's done for. Or they gain a Hadron power, which is going to be on the cultist toolbox table, which is coming up. So it says, Serafima knows how to configure the lamb to create a singularity. It'll immediately devour everything in the facility. After 1 week, the district vanishes. After 1 month, the entirety of the city Psi. So that's detrimental, obviously. So here we've got a cool cultist toolbox here. So you can roll up different names, what weapons they have. Here's their basic statistics. They're going to carry a shoddy 10 millimeter. What's their background? And then here's these Hadron powers. Of course, they could possibly have them themselves, or if the players get them, this is what they can get. So they can either get a random nano power from Cyborg, or they can get psychokinesis. Pretty much you can fling somebody. EM manipulator, their eyes emit gamma and X-rays, which can see through objects and deals D2 damage per turn. An emergency backup, so for up to D4 rounds, you upload your body and mind into cyberspace. You reappear close to where you vanished, your choice. You have a mind swap. For D2 rounds, you swap bodies with a target you can see. The target tests DR10 presence or falls unconscious for the duration. Or you have future sight. Your next attack hits regardless of what you roll. On a natural 20, you deal triple damage, and your target loses a limb or organ. That one's very good, obviously. And then here in the back, you've got that Zab. You've got his mixed tape, which is an infested item. So creatures on side A, creatures that hear the melancholic music must each turn test DR12 presence or take 1 damage. A creature reduced to 0 hit points dies. 50% chance a corpse turns into a blight husk. So that you're playing with some nasty powers there. And the B side, the decayed music lets structures crumble and corrupts data. After 1 hour, metal and concrete become brittle. And that's the mission. So overall, I think it's really cool. What to take away from it? Well, you've got a mission for Cyborg, so that's going to obviously boost up what you can play and run for people. It looks good, even with the AI art, but really, man, for me, the thing is this right here, is this whole LAM server map, getting your hacker in there and uncovering data that's going to be beneficial both financially and for the mission at hand. Just awesome. The NPCs are cool. You can probably pull these out and use these anywhere. Like if you don't use them for this mission, you want to use them, you can always throw them somewhere down the road. So that's very neat. The art looks good. It's definitely got the Cyborg look. This map, I think I would like to have had it like at the back, like on one of the covers, just to be able to get to it quickly. That would have been better for me. But yeah, you're going to have to kind of find, since each page is kind of laid out differently, kind of find where stuff is. So like here, Vibe, in the room with the altar, you are in the presence of a false cybernetic messiah, radiant neon. But yeah, it's definitely a cool mission. I like the LAM whole thing right there you can run. The laboratory is cool to be able to upgrade your characters in the middle of the mission. Of course, all these different brains, and this woman looking for her brother is neat. And then, of course, having this hacker that you can throw as a nemesis and kind of thwart the players as they try to traverse this factory. So overall, cool mission. Love the hacking stuff in there. That's what really stands out to me. But thanks for watching this. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. We're getting more and more people every day. Really appreciate it. And we're going to be moving on from Cyborg for just a little while. I've got some other stuff to talk to you about. I'm going to get back into fantasy. I'm going to get back into Mutant Crawl Classics and some other stuff like that. But I've got some really cool stuff to show you coming up. So stay tuned for those. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.